on the race day, one thing is for sure, marathon is going to be taxing on your body, even if you train a lot, even if you're prepared a lot. It's just the way marathon is. And why? Because your muscles fatigue, you have cardiovascular fatigue, you have respiratory fatigue, your breathing becomes more labored, your central nervous system, which impacts your coordination, balance, motor control, everything is impacted, and your central nervous system will fatigue as well. Then if you have extra stress, and it is stressful in a way to run at your higher effort zone for so long. It also impacts your hormone levels. Then what we already discussed, the glycogen stores in your body deplete. Your digestive system may be impacted. If you take the gels and you're not used to taking the gels, you may have digestive issues. Your body temperature rises, and your body cooling may become less effective. So what all of that means is that this happens in the background. Like even if you do everything correct, if you're going to run the marathon at your maximum effort, or like really like you try to run as best you can, then these are the things that are going to happen. But with the right preparation, you can mitigate these symptoms and you can deal with them better. If you look at the finish of a marathon, then you see people like really give everything they've got, and it's like it's often seems to people that who are not running that why are you doing this? This is so hard, and why are you killing yourself? Actually, they also don't think about the fact that like 5 minutes after you've sat down, you're going to be fine. Of course, your muscles are hurting, and of course, there are also cases where people with health conditions have had serious health problems as well. But mostly that's not the case, and you just see people give everything they've got for whatever reason they personally are running, and there is in a way some beauty in it. And when you are preparing for like all of these things, bear in mind that you cannot control everything. You may have thought about every detail, but you just there is always an element of unknown, and you may have seen this video. This is actually me. So I would say that focus on what you can control, let go of the rest, and just move on. So regarding the race day, when you start from the morning, breakfast is very important. So as we said before, you should have by that moment already practiced it. Normally it's advised to take the breakfast 3 to 4 hours before the race. Again, depending on what people like to eat, and it's very individual. But the breakfast should be rich in carbs. Definitely avoid fiber and fat. What exactly you eat is really up to you. And also you can take water with sodium before the race begins, especially if it's a hot race. Sodium, by the way, like when with carbs, you can carb load before you can really fill up your glycogen stores. Then with sodium, it doesn't work exactly like this. So if you, it may have a benefit if you drink like sodium water, or water in your sodium in your water, like also the previous day, but it may actually impact your sleep. So again, it's a question of testing, but definitely good practice before race morning or before the race, in the race morning, and just finish roughly 1 hour before the race. One more thing is that some people are also taking a snack between these like 3-4 hours and before this 15 minutes before the race. Yeah, you have to find out what works for you, but you just should try to avoid spiking your glucose level too early, because otherwise you go to the start maybe as a kind of like feeling a little bit I don't know, sleepy, or like a little bit not exactly ready for running hard. And here's like regarding race morning, just a sample race agenda, or like let's say if you start at 9 o'clock, you can see how fast the time is actually going, and you have all these activities, and in fact mostly these activities end up taking more time, so it's justified to wake up so early. And regarding pacing, it's always ideal if you can run the marathon with a negative split. Negative split means that your second half of the marathon is a little bit faster. Why it's better is because in this case you're not going to feel that bad on the last quarter of the marathon. But to do that, you definitely need to take the first 5K or like the first kilometer slower than the average expected pace. And then after 5K, you can increase your pace and see how it feels. The effort should feel like on a 10-point scale, the effort should feel like 6, 7, in my opinion, maximum. But even understanding what the 6, 7 is very different for every person. So this comes also with experience and practice. But definitely, if you feel at midway point, like at around 21K, well, I'm not sure if that pace is sustainable, then you need to slow down a little bit, and you need to do it immediately, because then the likelihood that in the last, like let's say 35 to 40K, you're likely going to slow down a bit, because that's the fatigue kicking in your body, and that's the part where you may end up like, if in the beginning you didn't want to lose seconds, then now you may actually lose minutes because your body is so tired. And the last few kilometers, if you have anything left in the tank, just go all out. It gives you a huge boost if you have the capability of running fast in the final few kilometers, and actually can make you run faster, because most people are slowing down. And if you train with heart rate, then definitely try to keep the heart rate on the lower end as long as you can. It doesn't mean that you need to check your heart rate consistently on the watch, but if you have run for some time already you have an understanding what your heart rate is, and it's just good to. It's also related with this perception of effort as well. But if you haven't run that much yet, then I would definitely advise to also check the heart rate. What is I think this book is it's one of one of the really good resources for understanding running performance, and it's also written in a like a simple and understandable way. And one thing that I would like to bring out from there is that it's also often not just about how you feel about effort, but how that feeling compares to how you expect it to feel at that point in the race. So the idea is that if you expected it to feel much, much easier, then you're likely slowing down. But if you expected it to feel harder than you feel, then you're gonna speed up. As every marathoner or experienced marathoner would say, every marathon is different. There's always an element of unknown. Like this is how I would summarize marathon stages. You go through these different stages. And sometimes the stages may not be so pronounced. You may not go through the highs and lows, but you're definitely going through different stages, from being very anxious before the race and then starting the race and then feeling really excited and happy running with all of these runners, and the music lifts you up and the people are screaming, and you're going on this emotional high for some time. And actually that's the moment where many runners make the mistake of going too fast, and because it feels everything feels so much easier, and then at one point your confidence starts to drop a little bit. You start to become doubtful whether you can sustain this pace. Really difficult section is at around 30, 33, 33, 35. For me personally, I know that if I have conquered the 36, 37, then I'm okay. Then I know that I won't get the wall anymore. I will be fine. Even if I will slow down a little bit, but everything is fine. And in the end, no matter how hard the marathon has been, you still feel accomplished that you did it. And of course, sometimes you also need to, like your plan C, just finishing the marathon, may not be realistic either. Because if you have a really strong pain somewhere, or if you're having a heat stroke, then definitely doesn't make sense to keep your goals just for the sake of finishing a marathon. You need to really understand if that's worth it. But always adjust to the conditions, as we said. If it feels hard already too early into the race, then correct the pace immediately, because that will get worse, only worse in time. And the reason why it happens is that, like, for example, if you started out too fast, your core body temperature went up, your heart rate went up a little bit too quickly. Then once it's up, it's really difficult to get it down. And you really just for core body temperature, you can use different cooling strategies. But if the heart rate is also up, then the pace is pretty much the one thing you can control. And do not ignore heat, high humidity, or strong wind. Like you may feel really good, well rested, really confident in your fitness, but if it's humid weather, difficult course, and if it's a hot day, then just let go of your goal. Like, this is not the time to do that. And some pain and discomfort is inevitable. This will happen. It's like, no matter how smartly you run, your brain will urge you to slow down long before the body reaches its limits. There's a central governor theory that says that actually it's not the body that sets the limits, but the brain. For active cooling, there are different things that you can actually do, and they do help up to a certain level. One thing for active cooling, if it's hot weather, just pick clothing which helps keep you cool. So it has to be light because light reflects the sun. It has to be well breathing. So, for example, take a tank top instead of like a t-shirt, because t-shirt has it's more material. Then also hydration before and during the race, really important to get right. Pre-cooling, so before the hot weather race, stay in the shade and do a modest warm-up. Just rather start slower, more conservatively, and you will warm up during the run. Also, ice packs, cooling vests, wet towels are good. Or if you don't have any of these, just pour a little bit of water even before the start on your head or body. Drink cold ice beverages before or on the course. Pour water on your head. And actually, the water, when you pour water, the wind is actually good because it helps you cool down. If there's just high humidity and very hot weather, then water is not so efficient, unfortunately. And when you pour water, make sure that you don't pour that you don't get some kind of an energy drink that they offer on the course. It's definitely water. And try to not get it into your shoes if possible. And what to expect on the race day? Maybe one thing is that something will probably go wrong. Rather expect that this will happen. Don't dream that it won't happen. And as I've already said, there are some things that will happen. Your body temperature will rise, your heart rate will rise, your perceived effort at the same pace increases in time. You will go through ups and downs. You will be in a kind of foggy state where you cannot do maths. Your GPS will lie. So you will see that the kilometer or mile marks are different than what your GPS will say. This impacts also your average pace. And obviously what matters is the kilometer marks that the race organizer has, not what your GPS watch has. And yeah, you will feel fatigued both mentally and physically. And regarding your overall experience, try to listen to your body and quiet your mind. So how to quiet your mind, how to cope with pain. There are different ways. You can have a race mantra ready. You can say you can do this, or whatever works for you. Or you can use like segmenting, where you segment distance into recognizable pieces. Like, for example, you can say, oh, this is only 5 kilometers left. It's my usual morning route. Or you can set mini milestones, like, okay, I will just run until that tower. I will try to keep up with this runner until that lamppost, whatever works. Try mental distraction, thinking how grateful you are for your family and that you actually can participate in that run. Some people find it good to focus on the form because when you're fatigued, the form will worsen. And think about welcoming the pain and not being afraid of it. And apparently, you can actually train the pain tolerance as well, as Matt Fitzgerald puts it. What is very famous is hitting the wall. If you have prepared everything what we've talked about here, it's unlikely that you're going to hit the wall unless you really have had very bad pacing strategy. But yeah, the likely cause of hitting the wall is that you underestimate the effort and you start off too fast, and you do not take any carbs, you do not have any hydration strategy, and you suddenly feel this extreme exhaustion. And it's a very bad feeling, I can say from my own experience. So the takeaway here for execution part is stay humble with your goals. Just for the first marathon, don't think about the time so much, just focus on finishing. Second marathon is often harder because the expectations grow. Maybe you have trained for 1 year and then you expect that things will be different. And also, if someone you know has a good day and you have a bad day, or vice versa, don't compare the experience because you don't know what are all these unexpected things that were different in your cases.